Hi guys, as usual it's me, just an off-screen voice, and you're watching Review Machines. If you have a quad, you know that it becomes almost useless in winter in deep snow, and it's so hard to do without your favorite toy till spring, but there is a special kit which can turn your ATV in a real winter beast. It's tracks. And some people say that quad on tracks can even cope with a snowmobile. Is it really so? Today we'll find out it. Stay tuned guys, it's going to be interesting. First of all, it's worth saying that price of the kit of tracks is about $3,000. Of course it's big money, but on the other hand it's a good deal. If the kit is really able to turn your quad in an all-season transport which may compete with snowmobiles in winter, so it's really good deal. Do you remember how much the snowmobiles are? Much more than $3,000. By the way, the kit can be used with any quad. There are some special plates to install the tracks at any model of quad. It takes about 2 hours to install the full kit, and you will not require some special tools. No, just 2 people and 2 hours of your time. Well, I think it's enough of theory. Let's see what these tracks can do in practice. We start our test on the snowy field. The snow is quite deep and loose, that's the most difficult for any ATV to move on such snow. As you can see, the snow is knee-deep. By the way, we wanted to test also usual quad on wheels, but it got stuck before coming to this field. When the road ended, the quad immediately sank in the snow. And that was the first test for our tracked quad. It can easily move around, and moreover, it dragged out our wheeled ATV from that snow trap. Well, let's clarify some details. Undoubtedly on the field, the snowmobile can beat the tracked quad. It's much faster. Snowy field is the best conditions for any snowmobile, and there are no machines that can do better there. Nevertheless, the tracks greatly improve the capability of the quad to move on snow. We saw that from the very beginning of our test. Where you can even think to move on wheels, on tracks you can move without any difficulties. The traction is much better. The quad doesn't fall through snow, even if snow is deep and loose. But the flip side is that the maximum speed is significantly reduced. On tracks your quad can't move with a speed more than 35 miles per hour. On the other hand, a tracked quad is more stable, and the ground clearance is bigger. By the way, this kit of the tracks can be used not only in winter, it's all-season equipment, and you can ride tracked quad whenever you want. Well, it's clear that a snowmobile moves much faster than a quad on field. But we still don't know how they do in the deepest snow, that is the most complicated condition for any ATV, and we will test it by all means, but a bit later. And now I want to mention that a tracked quad is very stable in any maneuvers. Well, it may be possible to turn it upside down, but it's much more difficult than to roll over a sled. If you once ride a sled, you should know that you always have to keep a balance while riding. If we compare a tracked quad with the wheeled one, the first thing we notice that quad becomes significantly higher. It's about 5 inches higher than ordinary quad on wheels. Though the gravity center also becomes higher, the vehicle still is very stable, as I've already mentioned. Also, tracked quad is bigger, and the turning radius is more, so it takes some time to get the feel of it. On the whole, it's still the same quad, but more capable to go through rough terrain, and it doesn't take much effort to ride it. Maybe in summer it's more difficult to drive a tracked quad, but in winter it's very easy and provides a lot of fun. Then we found a place where there was a very deep snow. It was almost impossible to walk there. But as you can see, our quad on tracks doesn't have any problems here. It can move on such snow quite successfully. So of course the tracked quad is not so fast as sled, but on the very deep snow it looks better. And it was rather hard for the snowmobile to move in these conditions. wanted to find the limits of capabilities of the track, so we decided to climb this quite steep hill. Frankly speaking, I didn't believe that the quad can get up to the hill, but to my great surprise it managed to do that. Of course it was rather hard and the quad moved slowly, but anyway it moved slow and sure. It's difficult to realize from the video how steep was this hill, but you can take it from me, it was very steep and the quad really impressed me here. And what about our sled? Well, the Snowmobile was far from being successful here. It was very hard to move fast at that pace, and the snow was very deep, so the sled was constantly getting stuck and falling on its side. So the track quad was definitely better in this condition than Snowmobile. 4 drive tracks of the quad were better than 1 track of the sled. Moreover, the track quad managed even to pull out the sled from the snow, and this situation tells us about the performance of these vehicles on deep snow better than any words. Finally we found a place where it was much more snow than we could even imagine. It was almost unreal to go there on foot. You can see it on your screens. Sled rider didn't want to even try to go there, but our quad seemed to feel quite comfortably in these conditions. It was moving on these hills like a snowcat, a graceful and powerful snow beast. So you see it yourself, I think it doesn't require any comments here. So what conclusion can we make out of our review? If you really like your quad and you miss it so much in winter, you may buy this track kit and enjoy snow riding. A track quad is not so fast as sled, but it can successfully move on any kind of snow. No matter what the deep is, just few inches or 5 feet, your quad will be able to cut his way in any conditions. But if you have a snowmobile, I think you don't need these tracks. A snowmobile is much faster on snowy fields, and it can provide much more fun. Guys, leave a comment what you think which is better, a snowmobile or track quad. And now let's go today. Please consider subscribing if you liked this video, it will be many more interesting materials here. Goodbye.